The Legend of the First Christmas Tree. Once upon a time, in a small village in Germany, there was a kind and gentle old man named Herr Klaus. Everyone in the village knew and loved Herr Klaus because he always had a smile on his face and was ready to help anyone in need. Herr Klaus had a cozy little cottage at the edge of the forest where he spent most of his time tending to his garden and enjoying the beauty of nature. One cold winter day, just a few days before Christmas, Herr Klaus decided to take a walk in the forest. The snow had blanketed the ground, making everything look like a magical winter wonderland. The trees were covered in sparkling frost, and the air was crisp and fresh. Herr Klaus loved the forest in winter. It was so peaceful and quiet, with only the sound of the birds chirping and the crunch of snow under his boots. As he walked deeper into the forest, Herr Klaus noticed a tiny tree standing all alone in a clearing. The tree was small and scraggly, with bare branches that shivered in the cold wind. It looked so sad and lonely that Herr Klaus felt a pang of sympathy for it. He walked over to the little tree and gently touched its branches. "Poor little tree," he said softly. "You must be so cold and lonely out here all by yourself." Herr Klaus thought for a moment and then decided to take the tree home with him. He carefully dug it out of the ground, making sure not to damage its roots, and carried it back to his cottage. When he got home, he planted the tree in a big pot and placed it by the window where it could get plenty of sunlight. He gave the tree some water and whispered kind words to it. "You are safe now, little tree. I will take care of you and make sure you are warm and happy." Over the next few days, Herr Klaus tended to the little tree with great care. He watered it every day and made sure it had enough light and warmth. He even talked to the tree, telling it stories and singing it songs. The little tree seemed to respond to Herr Klaus's kindness. Its branches began to grow stronger, and tiny green needles started to appear. Herr Klaus was delighted to see the tree getting healthier and more beautiful each day. As Christmas Eve approached, Herr Klaus wanted to do something special for the little tree. He wanted to make it feel loved and appreciated, just as he did for all his friends in the village. He decided to decorate the tree to make it look festive and bright. Herr Klaus gathered shiny apples, colorful candies, and sparkling ribbons. He carefully hung them on the tree's branches, making sure each decoration was placed just right. Then he found some small candles and placed them around the base of the tree, creating a warm and magical glow. That night, something wonderful happened. As Herr Klaus slept, the little tree began to sparkle even more brightly. The apples, candies, and ribbons seemed to twinkle like stars, and the tree glowed with a beautiful light. The tree was so happy and full of joy that it lit up the entire cottage, filling it with a warm and magical glow. Early the next morning, the villagers came to visit Herr Klaus, as they did every Christmas. When they arrived at his cottage, they were amazed to see the glowing tree. "It's like a tree from a fairy tale," they exclaimed. They had never seen such a beautiful tree before. Herr Klaus smiled and told them how he found the little tree in the forest and took care of it. The villagers were so inspired by Herr Klaus's kindness and the beauty of the tree that they decided to decorate trees in their own homes. They used shiny apples, colorful candies, and sparkling ribbons, just like Herr Klaus did. Soon, the whole village was filled with beautiful glowing trees, each one a symbol of love and kindness. Word about the magical trees spread far and wide. People from other villages and towns came to see the beautiful trees and hear the story of the kind old man and the little tree. They too started to decorate trees in their homes, and the tradition spread throughout the land. This is how the Christmas tree tradition began. And so every year, we decorate our Christmas trees with shiny ornaments, colorful lights, and sparkling tinsel. We remember Herr Klaus and his kindness to the little tree. The story of the first Christmas tree reminds us to be kind and take care of each other, especially those who need our help. As the years went by, the story of Herr Klaus and the first Christmas tree was told and retold, becoming a cherished part of the village's Christmas celebrations. Each year on Christmas Eve, the villagers would gather around their beautifully decorated trees and tell the story to their children and grandchildren. The children listened with wide eyes, imagining the magical night when the little tree first glowed with joy. One year, A terrible storm hit the village just a few days before Christmas. The wind howled, and the snow fell thick and fast, covering everything in a deep blanket of white. The villagers were worried and afraid, as they had never seen such a fierce storm before. They huddled in their homes, hoping for the storm to pass quickly. In the midst of the storm, a young girl named Gretel was worried about her grandmother, who lived alone at the edge of the village. Gretel loved her grandmother very much and knew she would be scared and cold all by herself. Gretel decided she had to go and check on her grandmother, no matter how dangerous the storm was. Braving the howling wind and swirling snow, Gretel made her way to her grandmother's house. When she arrived, she found her grandmother shivering by the fire, with only a small pile of wood left. Gretel hugged her grandmother tightly and told her not to worry. "I will find more wood and make sure we are warm," she said bravely. Gretel went outside and started to gather wood from the nearby forest. As she worked, she remembered the story of Herr Klaus and the first Christmas tree. She thought about how Herr Klaus had found the little tree and taken care of it, and how the tree had brought light and joy to his home. Gretel wished she could find a way to bring some of that same light and joy to her grandmother. As she gathered the wood, Gretel noticed a small scraggly tree standing alone in the snow. It looked very much like the tree Herr Klaus had found so many years ago. Gretel felt a surge of hope and decided to bring the little tree back to her grandmother's house. She carefully dug it out of the ground and carried it inside. When she got back, her grandmother was surprised to see the little tree. "What a lovely tree," she said, smiling at Gretel. "It reminds me of the story of Herr Klaus and the first Christmas tree." Gretel nodded and told her grandmother that she wanted to decorate the tree, just like Herr Klaus had done. Together, Gretel and her grandmother found some shiny apples, colorful candies, and sparkling ribbons. They hung them on the tree's branches, making it look bright and festive. Gretel found some small candles and placed them around the base of the tree, just like Herr Klaus had done. The tree looked beautiful, and for a moment, they forgot about the storm raging outside. That night, as they slept, the little tree began to sparkle with a magical light. The apples, candies, and ribbons twinkled like stars, and the tree glowed warmly, filling the room with a cozy, comforting light. The storm outside seemed to quiet down, as if the tree's magic was calming it. The next morning, the villagers woke to find the storm had passed. The sun was shining, and the village was covered in a glistening blanket of snow. They were amazed to see that the storm had caused no harm, and everyone was safe and warm. When they heard the story of Gretel and the little tree, they were filled with wonder and joy. The villagers realized that the spirit of Herr Klaus and his kindness lived on in Gretel and her grandmother. They decided to gather together and celebrate the end of the storm and the beginning of a bright new day. They decorated their trees with shiny apples, colorful candies, and sparkling ribbons, just like Gretel and her grandmother had done. From that day on, the village celebrated Christmas with even more joy and love. They remembered the story of Herr Klaus, Gretel, and the first Christmas tree, and how kindness and care could bring light and happiness to even the darkest times. And so, every year, we decorate our Christmas trees with shiny ornaments, colorful lights, and sparkling tinsel. We remember Herr Klaus and his kindness to the little tree. The story of the first Christmas tree reminds us to be kind and take care of each other, especially those who need our help. The moral of the story. The story of the first Christmas tree teaches us the importance of kindness and compassion. When we help others and show them love, we can make the world a brighter and happier place. Just like Herr Klaus and Gretel helped the little tree, we can make a difference by caring for those around us. Let's remember to always be kind and help each other, especially during the holiday season.